All right, folks, welcome back to yet another episode of Fresh Juice, an indie game podcast. Ho, ho, ho. It is the holiday episode. It is Christmas Eve if you're listening to this on the day of release. And if you listen to the day after release, it is Christmas. So, I'm one of your hosts, Tommy Fresh, and joined as always, it is
Matty Juice. And if you're listening to this on March 17th, it is St. Patrick's Day. So
yes,
happy
it
St.
sure
Patrick's
is.
Day to you. And yeah, what's up, Tommy? It's another holiday ep. And this is our second one ever, right? Yeah. I think so.
Second Christmas ep?
Yeah, I think so. Got the
Yeah,
hat. Yeah. And
think so.
just as an FYI, next week, what are we doing? We're doing the Juicies, folks. The
Ooh.
second annual Juicy Awards. So stay tuned for that. I know some of you have been asking about it too. So
Yeah.
that's been pretty cool. But how you doing, Tommy? How you doing? What's on the menu today for the people?
I'm good. On the menu today, we're gonna do some game talk, but I also played a game called Howl. I'll be reviewing that, and then it's been a busy week, but you know I am very tired. This house has been a blessing and a gift, but alas, we had mice, and we thought we got rid of them, and then they came back, and then I was like, okay, I got to get into this garage and like really clean it, because the people who owned this house prior did not clean. They left a mess.
Yeah.
And I mean, it looks great now, but all day on Saturday, I'm like ripping stuff out of there. I'm like, oh my God. And there's this big like shelf thing.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's there. It's barely any room for anything to be stored. And I get up there and minefield of mouse poop. And I was just like, oh, golly. So, like, broke out the bleach, cleaned that all up. Hopefully, the mice are back outside. It was, I don't know. I was so frustrated. Like, you're like just doing it. You're like, I shouldn't have to do this.
I know.
People should just be clean, but that's okay. People aren't. So,
listen,
that
mice,
was cool.
Mice also, they like wiggle, like they get into everything,
Oh yeah.
like it's just, we've had them like in the backyard, like, which is fine, but like they were in like the grill stuff and all that. So I had to like deep clean all that, and then they came back. But like each one, I had to like put in my car because we did like the humane traps or whatever, and I drove them like a few miles away and then like let them go or whatever, because apparently they'll come back. If it's like too close to your house, they'll like make their way back over. And luckily, knock on wood, we haven't had them for a while. But yeah, those little adorable, pesky little buggers,
They're cute. They are.
Yeah. But
And
that's, yeah. You would expect
I'm gonna get canceled
too,
for saying this, but
go ahead.
I'm not doing the humane ones. I'm doing
Get
out of here.
Yeah.
It is going to be brutal in that garage. Although we were using organic peanut butter, and I don't think they like that. So I'm going to have to, we picked up some Jif. We'll go with the Jif. They probably like the Jif a little bit more.
I'd get like a cracker, and I put like a little cheese and then peanut butter on it too. It'd be like a little meal for them. Yeah. So.
Well, there's only like a little slot you can throw in
there. But yeah. There's plenty of them out there. Yeah. Let's be honest, right? PETA's not listening.
So. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah. I don't think so. But hey, listen, the week's been good, other than that, but, just kind of doing some stuff. It was father-in-law's birthday, so we did that last night, and, now it's just holiday week, last minute stuff here and there. What's going on with you?
Yeah, same thing. Luckily, I took off of work for these like next kind of 2 weeks. So that's nice. Helping out with the baby more, a lot of baby stuff. She's been, honestly, last week's been pretty tough because she's been like going through this regression or whatever for sleep. And luckily the last 2 nights, knock on wood, have been okay, but we're trying to, like, get her naps and everything, her rhythm kinda under control, a little bit, and how much she's awake and how much she sleeps and all that sort of stuff. Because last a few nights more recently, it was just like she wasn't sleeping, it was tough, she's screaming, all that stuff, so it's fun stuff, but she's doing good, like, it's just been a big focus for me. And then also now that I'm off, I have like a little list of things I want to get done. I want to clean up my garage a bit more. I ordered a 3D printer, so I'm excited about that.
Whoa.
I've been very interested in 3D printing for years, and it's always kind of felt like every time I look into it, I'm like, man, this is a lot more in depth than I thought, because you got to know so many different things. And like, it just seemed like a lot. But now it seems like there are 3D printers you can buy, which one of them I bought, that are like, it's like as if Apple made it, right? It's like super easy. You just download a
Mm-hmm.
file, make sure there's filament in there, click print, and it prints. So that's what I'm hoping for. So I wanted to keep it in the garage. So I was going to clean it up, but I actually did some research. It's going to get too cold out there and probably too hot. So I'm going to actually have it in here. It might even show up on the camera in future apps once I get it in January. It's a little back order, but I'm very excited about that. So I've been kind of prepping and looking at cool like 3D models and stuff to save for when I actually get it. Um, Also, we'll talk about it, but Steam Winter Sale picked up some games there, so I've been playing a little bit of those. And what else? Also went to had finally had like a little date, with my wife, which was nice. We got like my parents came, watched the baby, and we actually got out, did a little date, like kind of lunch. Had a great meatball sub. I gotta tell you, underrated, the meatball parm sub. I feel like
Yeah.
not enough people, I mean, as long as the meatballs are good, but delicious. That's over at Porta in Asbury Park. There's a few Portas as well, but that was the one we went to. Very good. And yeah, I don't know if there's been a lot else going on. I'm trying to remember. It's been a blur, to be honest. But we're getting ready for the holidays too. We're not really going out too much, just because the baby's so young. But next year we'll obviously be going out more. Um, yeah, just kind of been chilling. Nothing too crazy.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah, just relaxing, chilling, and just looking forward to a little bit of relaxation during my time off here, which hopefully I get. Uh, but we'll see kind of how it goes. But yeah, that's it. Just kind of winding down for the end of the year. This is like one of my favorite times of year. I always take off work this time of year. I know not a lot of people are in, but I'm like, I'm not work. I don't want to think about work this time of year, so I'm taking off.
Yeah.
But yeah,
uh, I'm on the opposite end. Like, really, there's not a lot to do for me at the end of the year. So, like, I like banking my PTO, but I understand, like, you don't want to just like be bothered here at the end of the
yeah,
year, which I'm sure I will be next week. I think that's like kind of like everybody is like not doing anything this week, but then next week they're going to be like, well, we got to make sure everything's done for New Year's and stuff like that, and
yeah,
Q1 and blah blah blah.
yeah.
But
Plus, it
you know,
does help. Like my job, I don't have like a limit on PTO, so like
oh really?
yeah, so that kind of helps as well. And they're pretty. My boss is pretty good about that stuff. But also, yeah, my job, like they're putting meetings on, like even this week, before like today, I already there are like meetings I had that I no longer am going to. So yeah, it's just I'm happy to be off. But
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
um, yeah. Well,
yeah.
guess what? We got some games to talk about too. But
Ooh.
first, it's the holiday season. Give yourself the gift that keeps giving. Join the Discord. It is in the show notes below. It is available for everybody. But moving on, let's talk about some notable releases this week. Not a whole lot here at the end of the year, but I saw some stuff coming out that looked interesting. First was Eternia, which is or Eternia, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but looks like a party-based RPG, kind of like D&D game. It looks neat. It definitely piqued my interest here. You know, kind of the turn based stuff that's kind of growing in popularity, especially since the um, the advent of Baldur's Gate 3 winning Game of the Year, and now we have Divinity kind of on the horizon as well. So looks neat. I don't know. It could be good. I don't know why there was that random baby that just showed up in the in the trailer. What the heck was
Where's that
that?
baby? Where's that baby?
Did
Like right
I?
here? Yeah.
Yeah. What the heck is that? Um, but yeah.
And
So,
but the only the
yeah.
air can there's
There's
the
the baby.
baby. All right.
Yep. But yeah, it looks neat. I don't know. It comes out what the day after Christmas.
Yes, yeah, and this is an MMO as well, which is kind of cool. I know that's a big there's a lot of like I think popular turn-based MMOs. I think like Final Fantasy, right? Is
Mm-hmm.
turn-based? I don't know. I've
I
never
think so.
honestly played that one, but yeah, it's cool. I also think like Expedition 33 probably also like got more people in the turn-based stuff as well because that was like I kept just hearing that about that game, and we'll talk about that one in a little bit. There's some news surrounding that, but yeah, this looks cool. I mean, I have been someone that like I was never really into like MMOs, and I feel like as of late, it's been something like I like being part of like a living, almost like a living world, but I can also play on my own time, right? So
Mm-hmm.
this kind of seems cool. Like it's like a um I don't know, like a Pokemon-ish. I mean, it's not creature collecting, but just the way it looks, it just kind of it reminds me almost of like something I might play on like mini clip, right? Or something
Mm-hmm.
like that, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. So yeah, this seems interesting. I don't know why that baby's there, why there's a big old
There's
I
like
guess that's
random
part of the
baby
turn
story
based thing.
elements, I
Yeah.
guess.
But very cool. Yeah, I have to check this out. It looks like it's trying to get into like the cozy side of things too here, which is
Hmm.
kind of cool. So yeah, Turnia, pretty cool. Or
Yeah.
Thernia, sorry. Thernia.
Eternia. And then the next game I saw was The Last Citadel, which hopefully is better than Beyond Citadel, which was a game we gave rotten milk to. But this looks like a kind of roguelike third person shooter. These are kind of getting more and more popular right now. Like these kind of like multiplayer shooters that have that roguelike experience. I think it's going into early access. So I
Mm,
don't know. It's something that I'm not opposed to. Like I would play some of this. I just started playing a little bit of that Raiders of Blackvale,
yeah.
and you know these could be a good experience. Kind of has that also MMO feel to it as well. Just kind of looking at them running around, but yeah, I just I haven't played like a shooter like seriously in a while, so this could be something I'd be picking up.
Yeah, this looks pretty cool. It kind of gives me like Recore vibes, which is like that I think that like Xbox exclusive game, if I remember correctly. I never played it, but I always watch gameplay for it. But it just kind of seems like it's a similar arcadey vibe with the character control and just like the weapons and everything. Um, but yeah, it seems kind of cool. It's also like looks like challenging raid bosses. It kind of seems like maybe like a bite size raid, which is also that's becoming more and more popular as well. Where like
Mm-hmm.
people people that love MMOs but like they maybe not don't have time for them, they like these like slice of MMO kind of games. I see that a lot of like it's just raiding or it's just dungeons or whatever, like it's just a mini MMO. That's kind of what I'm getting with this game. This seems pretty fun though. Online co-op, um hopefully like Steam Deck verified. I think that'd be cool for this one. But yeah, this seems pretty cool. I'm not signed in right now, but I'll add it to my wish list for sure. The Last Citadel. Very interesting. Yeah, and it's also role based too, which I feel like a lot of games nowadays, they're like it's your character spec into whatever you want, and then it becomes that role, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
like I like this where it's like, all right, you're going in, you are a healer, right? It's kind of got that MMO vibe, right? That's what you do, and you help heal, or you're a tank, or your DPS. So I think that's cool with this one. I like being fit to a role because I know what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, Last Citadel. I'll have to check it out. Very cool.
Yeah. You
Hopefully it
like being
comes
fit to
out
a role.
soon.
Do you want to? Oh yeah. I mean, I guess it said that it's like
2025.
planned 2025.
Yeah.
It looked like it was supposed to be coming out, but
Yeah.
um, you know, if you like role based games, you should check out League of Legends. It's a small little game I've
Oh,
heard
really? Well, I like
of.
role-based games, but I am against toxicity. I've heard that game maybe has a
Oh,
little bit of it. I don't know for sure.
not if you don't pay attention to the chat.
That's true. If you just, then it's just toxic for other people because they're like, "What
Yeah,
is this guy?"
hilarious. What's he doing? I'm jungling or whatever. And then the other game I saw is Eldramar, which is coming apparently soon to early access. This is a survival horror action RPG. Looks cool. It looks like Honor Games has done a couple things like this um,
Hmm.
around this kind of genre, but this one kind of looked neat to me. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't know if it's really something I would play, but like I'm itching for a somewhat new experience, and this could be it. I just don't really like the first person stuff, to be
yeah,
honest.
yeah. Um, at least this one, it seems slower paced, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think, as someone like I make a lot of videos, right, on like survival games. I see survival horror as like something I just keep kind of seeing it over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I don't know. I've never really been into the survival horror side of things, but the more I see it, the more I'm like, maybe I should like check it out. And this one actually seems kind of cool. It almost like reminds me of like a first person Souls game, but like slower paced. Um, yeah, interesting. Eldramar. I don't know if I'm in love with the name,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm sure that there's obviously a reason for that, but very interesting for sure.
yeah.
And
Slow week.
yeah, slow week for
So-
sure. Also, this is not a game that is coming like out. I think it's already out. Yeah, it already came out, but I didn't know if this would be of interest to you, but this is another survival horror game I saw recently called
oh
Dead
yeah, I did
Format.
see this.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's so it's set in like iconic film eras, and so you have like VHSs that put you in those different film eras, and then it's like a, first person survival horror kind of game. Kind of remind me a little bit of like Resident Evil y.
Mm-hmm.
Um but it's just a really cool concept. It's got positive ratings, so I guess people it's only got 40 reviews, but I know you're a fan of film, and if you're getting into this genre, maybe this is a cool one to try out.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Maybe it is. Now, moving on, it is the Steam Winter Sale until January 5th. Have you picked up anything? Is there anything you plan on picking up? What is piquing your interest?
Yeah, I have picked up a few things. First off, I picked up the first Half Life because it was like $2. And with the rumors around Half Life 3, I already own Half Life 2. I've never played Half Life 1 or 2. So I was like, I might as well pick up the first one, right? And I think it's Steam Deck verified. I would hope so. So I'll probably play that a little bit in my downtime, see how it is. I also picked up this is a survival game I've always heard about, never really played it. It's called Green Hell. It came out in 2019. It's like $2 right now, 90% off. And this is like a hardcore kind of survival game from what I know. It's like got like more realistic survival mechanics. But apparently it got a great story as well. So I don't know, just something kind of more on the primitive side of things. Something I wanted to try out. Um, and then the only other game I picked up is actually another idle game that it's called Melvor Idle. And
Oh, by Jagex, right?
yeah, so this is like a RuneScape inspired idle, like truly idle game that's also on mobile, and they
Mm-hmm.
sync between each other. So this is what, $5. I was like, you know what? I've been getting into idle games. I like RuneScape. Maybe I'll check it out. And I've only played on my phone so far, but this is truly just like a game where like you just see progress bars go up and you're like, yeah, like that's the gameplay. But for whatever reason, I don't know, I'm kind of into it. So I bought it on Steam, and I'm gonna try it out. But yeah, I had no idea this existed until our buddy Pat kind of talked about it. I was like, wow, this is actually from Jagex. And I don't know. So another idle game. I don't know if this is not gonna probably interest me as much as like other idle games we've played, or clicker games I should say, but this is like, I don't know. It's just
Must
something
be
I
the
can
most popular one, right?
um maybe, yeah, I don't know. I've never even heard of it, but I'm also not in that like space. I don't hear people talking about idle games a lot. But I
It
don't know.
always gets
Yeah.
recommended to me on my like the app store, and I'm
Oh,
just like,
really?
you
Okay.
know, like I've seen it forever, and I was like, I don't know, and I was like, oh, it's made by Jagex, so maybe it's good or whatever. But like, it was always like great reviews on the app store, obviously great reviews here on Steam. It must be the biggest one. I mean, just like with the crossover with RuneScape,
Yeah.
it's got to be close, but
Yeah.
very cool.
But yeah, we'll see. I don't have an opinion really on it yet, but I'm sure in future apps I'll talk more about it.
Cool, cool,
Yeah.
cool, cool. I have picked up 3 games that were on my wish list that went on sale. First was Morsels, which came out not too long ago.
Nice.
I haven't played it yet, but I picked it up. Uh, Pretty cool looking game. I watched some gameplay of it, and I was like, you know what, this looks cool. That's why I put it on my wish list. It was 25% off. And then I picked up Dark Quest 4, which is a game that we had talked about a couple weeks ago that I thought looked cool, and it was like 30% off. I was like, okay, I think I'll just bite the bullet here.
What
And
was
then
that one?
Dark Quest 4, which I've never played
Oh.
any of the other Dark Quests, but this one, I don't know. It just looked cool. So,
Oh, yes, this one. Oh, yeah, you have to let me know how this is, because this one does look
yeah.
cool.
And then I picked up Nice to Yeet You, which I think Local Thunk had pushed at one point. It's in early access. It's like a brawler party game,
Oh,
but it
nice.
was 25% off. It's a pretty cheap game anyway. But I don't know why I didn't just buy it off the rip. But game looks awesome.
And
So
now you save
hopefully it's good.
25%. There you go. Just by
Yeah.
waiting. Yeah.
So there you go. Now let's get to the biggest news. The Indie Game Awards
Yeah.
have rescinded their award for Game of the Year to Claire Obscure Expedition 33 because they were a little unclear about their use of generative AI, which disqualified them. Now, they replaced the generative AI stuff after launch and they patched it, but they were a little bit um, I guess like just like quiet about it, right? Understandably,
Yeah.
there's I think like it's this weird time right now where I think I saw a number where there is an 800% increase in generative AI warnings or disclosures on Steam with games. So the Indie Game Awards stripped them of the award, gave it to Blueprints. Then there was like false claims that Blueprints also used the generative AI, which I think was debunked. They did not use generative AI. So um, it is kind of funny because, like, when I first saw it, I was like, wait, I had to like read it like 3 times. I was like, the Game Awards? No, the Indie Game Awards.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, because like I don't think the Game Awards would do it, but it's a it's making big headlines because this is obviously the biggest game of the year. I think they just confirmed there's going to be a movie or a television show or something like that based on the IP as well. Now got to respect the fact that they did patch out the generative AI, but there's going to be more and more instances of this, and good on the Indie Game Awards to kind of like draw a line in the sand and say, hey, listen, I mean, this is our rule. You got,
Yeah.
and that is really it. There is tons of AI used in video games and video game development all the time, but it kind of it becomes a moral issue or ethical issue when you kind of do the generative AI, where it's like, okay, where is that art getting generated from? Is
Yeah.
anybody getting paid? Yada yada yada. So it's a big thing, and I think a general consensus, at least among you know indie game fans, I think, is that we don't want slop. We want well made, human crafted things. So it made a big splash. I think E33 is still going to be fine.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But that's you know when you kind of delve into the genre of being a quote unquote indie game, you're going to be scrutinized on different things that a a large studio wouldn't really be scrutinized on, because, well, they're a large studio, and you know like kind of expect that kind of stuff out of them. So love to
Yeah.
hear your thoughts. You're much more involved in AI than me. You know, um, especially like on the day to day basis. So
Yeah.
what are your thoughts here?
I mean, obviously, first off, I think there's a reason Steam has that disclaimer now, right? If like
Mm-hmm.
if AI is used at any point during the process, like it needs to be disclosed, and it didn't happen with Expedition. I don't think there's a disclaimer on there. I saw people pointing that out on Twitter that like it wasn't on there at all, and so people
Mm-hmm.
feel, I think, a little bit cheated, even though it was like patched out. Now,
Yeah.
this also came up with Divinity as well, because that was like recently announced. People, Larian Studios came out and said that, like, they're not against, kind of like, they're going to explore new technology and all that sort of stuff. Just kind of like almost like a blanket or like a vague corporate kind of saying, right? In a way,
Yeah.
but I think, yeah, obviously the Indie Game Awards have every right to like take away the award. If that's their policy, right? And like it wasn't disclosed, and they have every right to kind of take that away. What I'm kind of curious about is like, because I do use AI at work. It's kind of unavoidable, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do, like, for those that don't know, like SEO, right? So like LLMs and like ChatGPT, that's all like disrupting my whole work. Like basically my whole job is changing now. So it's kind of it's unavoidable for me to like look at that stuff. I'm looking at it every day. But I'm also kind of curious in, I feel like there's people out there that are just like, any use of AI is bad, right? Like they don't want to play a game that has in any way AI was involved, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
Gen AI, I should say. But also I'm like, well, does that, if someone is let's say like an indie dev is planning their game and they use generative AI to like organize their thoughts, right? They're not using it for like art or anything like that. Maybe they're using, there's like Google Notebook LM, right? Which is like you can attach sources to like a notebook and you can ask it questions and it like pulls from that. Um, you know, I guess where is the line being drawn, right? Like, will there be game? I can imagine that there's gonna be games where like they don't use any generative AI in any of the assets or any of the dialogue, anything for the game itself that's been published, but in the planning phase for the game, they might have, in order to save time, in order to like explore different ideas, right? Where maybe they have writer's block and they're like trying to, or not actually writing for the game, but maybe they just don't know, they're like, give me some suggestions on where this story could go, or like give me suggestion, like I don't know what tools to use, right? Like I'm trying to do something in Unreal Engine 5 and I don't know how to do it. Like is that, does that also need to be disclosed? Like that's what I'm unsure about. Where like there's people out there that would hate that that happened, right? That like an indie dev
Mm-hmm.
or any dev would even do that. For me, I like, I'm not, I played Arc Raiders and stuff. Like I played games that use generative AI. I'm not crazy about it being used so much for the creative side of things. I think like it can be used in so many better ways. like on maybe on the tech side, right? It's already being used, like AI is already being used on like the back end. Like technically, I feel like procedural generation is AI, but it's just not generative AI. But I'm also
Mhm.
like, I'm not against developers using it to help plan out their games or organize their thoughts or just do like some storyboarding, but not like actually generating assets, but just trying to figure out, okay, like I want my game to have multiplayer. How do I do that? Oh, let me ask ChatGPT and like I can give it my specific tech stack that I'm using so that it knows how what I can do. Like I'm not against developers doing that. So like in Expedition 33's case here, like those were assets that were in the game that were patched out. Like they should, that should have been disclosed because that is something
Mhm.
that's like front facing to a lot of people, to everyone playing the game. But I'm just kind of like curious, like how are they gonna draw that line, right? Of like the indie game awards, like, are you going to take away awards or have like, does your policy cover also like the planning side of it? And like, how would even someone figure that out that that was used unless the developer admitted it, right? Like, I just, I think I'm not against people using it in that phase, that discovery phase almost of like, trying to build your game, but I don't want it to be used for like art assets and things of that nature. I think that there's talented artists out there that make way more interesting environments and assets than AI could ever do. So I'm kind of curious, like, what do you think about that? Like, if someone were to use it in kind of that planning phase of their game, and it's just text based, and they're just trying to organize that, just kind of what I described, like is that how do you feel about that? Because I feel like that's a big gray area that not enough people are kind of talking about.
Yeah, well, I mean, from what I could tell on Steam, right? Like they only have to disclose if they use generated AI generated content, right? Right. Like so that's like assets, maybe voice acting, et cetera, et cetera. Things that I think are, on the unethical side, right? Like these are jobs that basically could have been outsourced to creative people, right?
Mhm.
You know, um like I think where I draw the line on AI, right, is like, is this replacing someone's job,
Yeah.
right? I think that's like the biggest thing. And like, obviously there's even more issues with like AI generated art and assets because there's no there's no like actual kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Disney was going to try to do this, but then they ended up not doing it. Where like you can like regulate where that content is coming from. Right
Yeah.
now, it's kind of like the Wild West, right? You could be someone that just created a bunch of fan art on something, and like an Instagram account, and all of a sudden that could have been just pulled
Right.
and being used to generate stuff, and you don't see a dime of it, right? Like Claire. I mean, Claire Obscura Expedition 33 is a great example of something that's making a ton of money, right?
Yeah.
Like, so, they patched it out, and from what I understand, it wasn't a lot, but it was just more of the sneakiness. I think that kind of became a issue
Yeah.
with it. And
For
like,
sure.
you're only sneaky because you know that it's going to be an issue, right? So,
Yeah.
I draw the line like, hey, is this going to replace somebody's job? Like, or is this being unethical in terms of like stealing content from elsewhere? uh you know like I think about in my job, right? I there's not a lot of opportunities for me to even like interface with AI, but like I think the only time I've ever thought about using AI in my job is, right, so I'm a salesman, so I go out on the road and I have X amount of accounts I got to see, and I would probably use AI to say, "Hey, I want to see these 10 accounts today. Can you just map it out for me?"
Yeah.
Right? Which nobody was doing that before for me. I was just doing it.
Right.
So just make it easier for me. And that I don't really see an issue with, but like when it comes to like making a game, yeah, I don't I'm not opposed to like things, and even my rec room I think is probably using some kind of AI, right? in terms of, and we'll talk about it, but like it's just more of an organizational thing. Like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to organize this X, Y, and Z. I would be a little bit iffy if Dev was like, hey, I don't know where to take this story. Well, figure
Yeah.
it out. Like you have to be the creative person. If you're writing this story, you got to be the creative person here, because when you say, "Hey, whatever program, I don't know where to take this story," they're going to pull from a bunch of other stories that exist already,
Yeah.
which, there is the argument that that's what we do, but we actually have to work to come to the conclusion,
Yeah.
right? Rather than,
You're an
I think I've
AI?
had
Is that what you're saying?
well, no, we have to like everything that we've ever read or watched or
Yeah.
anything
It's
like
your
that when you're creating.
experiences. Yeah.
Yeah,
AI doesn't
yeah,
have experiences.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's just going to like take that and just vomit it out for you.
Yeah.
And that kind of, it's just like against the human spirit, I think, of creativity.
Yeah.
So like I think that's really where I draw the line. Is like, are we kind of like abandoning what it means to be human, right? We there's tools, right? There's always tools out there, right? And we'll use them. It makes us better a lot of the times. But there's a fine line between like a tool that's going to help you get organized, or a tool that's just going to generate everything for you
Yeah.
that you should have been able to do. And like when it's an expressive thing, and then
Yeah.
there's the ethics on side of that too. So
Yeah.
that's my take on it. You know, like, am I mad at Claire Obscure for doing it? I wouldn't say I'm mad. It kind of sucks that like they couldn't just patch it out, but maybe it was just something they missed on the release,
Yeah.
But
And that's the
it's hard to
danger
say.
too, right? Of using it. Like there's uh if you're gonna use it, it can be in a way where like it's everywhere and it can be hard
Mm-hmm.
to like contain it then again or erase it, right? Because you're like, oh man, we used it for like these assets or this texture or whatever it is, and you forgot it was on one of the assets, in the game. Like there's so much room for error when you're kind of using it in that way where like you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
I know Marathon went through like which is like the new game coming from Bungie. Apparently, they just like stole the entire aesthetic from the game, for the game from like this artist that was on Twitter, and they ended up getting like compensation like for it and settled in at court, I guess, or whatever. But they used AI as well, um, for that, and it was in like so many assets for the game. And I think they came out and said like, oh, we were going to patch that out or like something like that. So it's kind of a similar case, just a lot worse for them because their game didn't get a bunch of awards or anything like that. But
Mm-hmm.
um, I also, you know, it makes me wonder if these, like, what if, okay, so like AI, like you said, it's pulling from all these different places. But what if, like, let's say Rockstar Games, they build their own AI model that's just contained to everything that they do. It doesn't pull from
That they've
anything else,
created.
right? Even like, yeah, everything that they've created, and like they still employ artists and things of that nature, but then those artists maybe like use it to help come up with ideas of their from their previous art, right, like I feel like this is like a rabbit hole that like where
Yeah,
do
yeah.
you kind of draw the line? Because or
Also,
maybe
what?
they even use it for like their like, right, they want to build out a new area of their game and it has some new tech and they use this AI model that's just contained in them to like build out part of the infrastructure, but it's the infrastructure guy or girl that's doing it. Like I just can't kind of keep thinking of my job, right? Where like I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not that I'm being replaced by AI. I'm just like I'm now managing AI essentially at my job. So I wonder, how far does that kind of go? Like, I don't want it to touch artists and things of that nature, but I guarantee there's going to be um, large studios that build their own AI models that are
Mm-hmm.
just contained to like their assets, their everything from their games. And I'm just like, you know, it's something where I feel like I'm gonna need to see what happens after that to really judge it. But I know it's going to happen, and I honestly don't know how I feel about it right now, because if even imagine like artists came out for that, maybe rock star artists, and they were like, we're fine with this. Does that mean everyone else should be fine with it? Because the artists themselves are like, yeah, we're still going to get paid. And I don't know, it's very interesting. Like arc raiders, they use it for their voice lines, and one of the voice actors came out and they were like, oh, now that you're successful, like you should be paying us,
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
and replace, like, does that happen more often now, where it's like AI is used until a game becomes successful and then they pay the people, like I just, it's there's a lot
It,
to consider.
mm-hmm.
And I would prefer AI wasn't involved at all with games, but it's inevitable at this point,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
it's going to
I mean,
happen.
like
So
think of
it's
like
interesting.
the Nemesis system, right?
Yeah.
Like that's got to be some kind of like AI like model. I mean, it's not generative, but like it's a learning model, right?
Yeah.
That we'll never be able to see in a game again because of Warner Brothers. Um, but I think yeah, like to be honest, like the example that you're using, right? Like if Rockstar came out, right, or EA or even Nintendo, right? They're like, hey, we're going to put all the assets that we have own and we're going to put them in our own model. And that way we can use it to streamline some stuff in our games. Um,
And we're still going
you
to
know,
pay all the same people. That's the
pay all
important
the
part.
same people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the only way that's okay is if there's like a royalty system for these
Yeah.
artists, every time, like you have to also like have the AI model be able to tell you where it's grabbing everything from,
Yeah.
right? Like you have to like do that to make it like ethical. Now, is it at that point it kind of is a little bit against the human spirit of creativity, but at least the artists are getting paid still.
Yeah.
So like, that it's easier to stomach it at that point
Yeah.
because, it sucks when it's both. They're
Yeah.
like,
And I'm not
all
saying
right,
it's
like,
going to make the most interesting things.
no, no,
Yeah.
it
But
probably won't.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, like, yeah, it's just tough to stomach both when it's like,
Yeah.
okay, like I'm looking at this like not that great looking thing that's not truly creative, but at least the people that contributed to what is creating it are getting their due. That would be a little bit easier, but I don't think there's well that's the thing. It's like a lot of these are being used to save money, so just kind of like
Yeah.
will that ever happen? I don't know. That's kind of a pipe dream, but
Yeah.
interesting, no doubt. Good on the IGA awards.
Yep.
There were, I guess, the Indie Game Awards, IGA or Indie Game Awards, but hey, really neat.
Yeah. We'll keep reporting on the use of AI in the industry.
Yeah.
There's going to be an
Yeah.
article about it, I bet, every week next year.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, easily. And like we've played some games that had the disclosure. I think even that last Citadel game that we talked about just a moment ago had a disclosure. There's like I said earlier, there's like 800% increase this year in disclosures on games.
Yep.
We'll be seeing a lot of it now. If I was a smart studio, I would see the backlash and say, hey, let's make sure when we put out this game that we don't have to put a disclosure. All right.
Yep. Yep.
Because what's not controversial?
Tell
A
me.
good game without a disclosure, right?
Yeah.
Because there will be people that don't mind there being a disclosure, but there will always be people that do mind. So, anyway, let's move on. I did play a game this week. I played a decent amount of this game. This is Death Howl. This is by The Outer Zone, developed by The Outer Zone, published by 11-Bit Studios, studio that I think also published Moonlighter. And this is a Souls-like deck builder, kind of story-driven. You master the grid, defy death, enter a grim spirit realm in the open world deck builder, craft lethal decks from 160 cards, claim powerful totems, and defeat foes in tactical grid combat. Fight as the desperate hunter Ro to bring her son back from beyond the veil. So, this is a really interesting game. I'm excited to talk about it. I played a nice chunk of it. I'm probably going to continue to play it. moving on after this review. I have already put 4 hours in this week, which is a decent amount. Pretty busy week, but I'm gonna say the gameplay here is just so good, right?
Mm.
I didn't know how they could truly blend these genres of Souls like deck builder. It's not a roguelike, right? So like you are kind of hopping into this world. You kind of get this story beat of, you're this mother, this, her son is either passed away or moved on to another realm, and she's, kind of goes to that realm to try to find him. And there's a lot of like almost like native, like kind of like spirit realm
Mm.
kind of aesthetics going on. And the gameplay is you're walking around and you'll come across encounters, right? You'll see like a grid system and you can walk into it to go into the encounter. And you basically have a deck of cards, you have X amount of resources to play the cards each turn, and you're moving around the grid. You can use resources to move. There's also cards that will move at a higher rate. Like it costs one resource to move one space, but there's cards that will be like move two spaces for one resources, yada yada yada. And you're fighting usually just a couple enemies, and afterwards you'll gain resources from them. You'll gain souls from each enemy that you beat. You also gain like pieces of them, like feathers and snouts and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you use those souls and resources to craft new cards. So each area will have all these new cards for you to craft, and they're usually kind of like, I think there's 5 total areas. Each area basically has its own like archetype, or like 2 archetypes of cards that you can build a deck out of, which is cool. You have your base deck that you start with, and then like you're just like unlocking new cards, yada yada yada, and you're finding synergies and this, that, and the other thing. And it's cool. But also with the souls, you can go to like a save point and like kind of deposit the souls to unlock like these kind of, I guess you just call them like a power up for that area.
Okay.
So in the first area, you can deposit a bunch of souls, and you can like you get these teardrops and use these teardrops to unlock these like static power ups. One will be like every time you kill an enemy, it gives you a special card that is of that enemy for like one turn, right? So like you kill a boar, and you get this like special card that says you basically turn into a boar, and like you jump like 5 spaces and attack something, right?
Nice.
So really cool. And then like you can upgrade that to make the cards cheaper when you unlock them, yada yada yada. And then there's also like in that first area, you can unlock a special like meter that like after you do X amount of moves, it'll go up, and then you can use the meter to get extra damage for a turn, yada yada. So like really cool stuff. There's kind of this tension of like, hey, do I use my souls now? Do I unlock more cards? You can kind of see the cards that you can unlock, and you're like, oh, that one looks really cool. Maybe I should just save up for that. Now, if you want to like heal back up, you have to go to a save point, and if you have souls left over, the souls will go deposit when you heal up. And then all of the encounters in the map refresh. So when you leave there again, you'll have to do encounters again. This is where the Souls like kind of thing kind of comes in, and you'll have to redo them. And certain areas that you want to get to, you're going to have to go through multiple encounters just to get there. So then you'll be able to tell on the map there's like harder encounters for you to do, and there's a bunch of different things that you can find on the map. Now, I think that it's kind of cool, like this Souls like thing. Like it took me a minute to like realize like what I need to be doing, and it's like, oh, there's a decent amount of grinding here, and just kind of figuring out like what a good deck is, and like just being good in each encounter, right? If I want to get far, to like if you're looking at the map right now, there's like a little yellow thing that you can go to to like get like a special resource, but you have to go through like 3 encounters to get there. So you're like, oh man, I gotta lock in and not lose too much health, or else it's I'm gonna be screwed.
Yeah.
Now, if you lose an encounter, you lose all the souls that you gained, and they stay in that encounter, and you just respawn right in front of it. You can go back into the encounter and try to do it, or you can go back and save, but the souls will stay there, so you can go back eventually and try to beat it to get those souls. Um,
If you
yeah, it's a
die,
gameplay.
sorry, if
Yeah.
you die, do those like in a Souls like, if you die, you drop your souls, and if you die again, you lose the opportunity to get those back. Is that the same with this game as well, where like you need to kind of keep in mind that you have souls out there in an encounter that you want to kind of get back at some point, so you're hoping you don't die again?
I actually that's a good question because I think in what I've played so far, I've mostly just kind of kept getting back to where I died. And I think
Okay.
it maybe the souls reset every time that you go into that encounter and die. So like there was one encounter that was just I kept dying, right? Like and I would go back and there's also you have to go grab them or an animal will grab them and you kill the animal, you'll get them. But if nothing touches it, the souls decrease per turn.
Mm.
So you're like, I got to go get these souls. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. I really liked this gameplay loop. I enjoyed the challenge here. I enjoy the grind actually because you're like, I want to see what other cards I can get because you unlock new cards to be able to unlock based on just like grabbing resources. So it's like every time you grab like a feather and a snout, it will go to like another meter that will eventually unlock new cards available for you to like unlock with your stuff.
Hmm.
So that is the gameplay loop pretty much. I mean, it's very interesting. I think the deck building's really cool. They really flesh out a lot of like I'm only like just finishing the first area, and the first area has like 2 really fleshed out archetypes to build a deck with, which is really neat, and just kind of like figure out like unique strategies and how to play. Now, the grid system reminds me of Into the Breach, if anybody ever played that, or FTL, Faster Than Light. So if you're into that kind of thing, I think you'll probably like this as well. It's kind of blending that third genre into the Souls like deck builder, and then all of a sudden you get the little tactical RPG thing going on as well.
Yeah.
So big fan of the gameplay here. I really am. And do you have any other questions about it before I move on?
Um, I don't know if I have questions. I think it's a really cool like concept to kind of almost have like this like open worldy feel, and like you kind of get to choose which encounter you want to go to. I mean, obviously you want to get to a, there's a goal, so you'll know what you need to get through, but like I didn't realize, until kind of watching this more in-depth gameplay and hearing you talk about it, that you can kind of like move your character around, and then as you get close to an encounter, you start to see the grid pop up, and then it's like it almost feels like Pokemon, right? Where like
Yeah.
you're walking around freely, and then all of a sudden you're in like a battle encounter. So I think that's cool. It's almost like um, you can, yeah, you kind of almost can go at your own pace. Like I could, if I wanted to, I could just keep going back to the same encounter after like resting or whatever and just practicing, right? Like over and
Mm-hmm.
over. And then I can be like, all right, I'm going to go further now. I feel like I'm getting like the hang of it. So that was just the biggest thing I noticed with the gameplay that I thought was really cool. And I think they did a good job from like the art side too, showing that. But yeah, this like definitely, and I'm into Souls likes, but this definitely like interests me just because of that. Where it's like you're like, oh, like I see the person like collecting things right here, and then kind of figuring out which way you want to go. I don't know. It just I didn't expect it to be like that. I kind of for some reason I was thinking this would be more rigid like Slay the Spire, right? Where you're like
Mm-hmm.
have this like path that you kind of choose, and you're just kind of choosing the levels and the encounters you want to go through. So this is has a little bit more freedom, which I think is a really cool design choice.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It definitely surprised me too when I hopped in. I was like, okay, because I played the demo, and I think the demo was good, but like it more just was like, hey, here's the mechanics
Yeah.
of the game. You don't really get the full scope of like what you're really doing, and just hopping into the full game, I was like, wow, this is way more in depth than I thought it would be, and the whole unlock system is great, and just like so many cards to unlock, and you're just like, wow, like I actually, it feels like I just started playing a new TCG, and I'm like,
Yeah.
everything is available to me. I'm like, I have to figure out actual real strategies here because it's not just it's not like your roguelike, it's not like your Slay the Spire where it's going to give you just three options. You have
Right.
all the options in the world.
Yeah.
So you're just like really got to make great decisions. But because of the natural Souls like grind of it, you get to just play around with a bunch of different stuff, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Um, moving on to the story, I think it's very story driven. Like, you kind of start as this mother who obviously is mourning her son and kind of going to the spirit world. You know, without any spoilers, you kind of just hop in, and you kind of like you're kind of like seeing like almost the ghost of your child, but like he's become like a deer, and he's kind of running around. You're just trying to find where he is, and then there's other spirits that will come talk to you sometimes and like say, hey, this is kind of like what's going on here. Like this is like not what you think it is, and it's really cool. It's like she's she's experiencing a lot of grief, and there's moments in the game where she just has to take like you'll hit a point in the map where you're like, oh, I think my son was here, and then it's kind of like you get a little bit of dialogue, not too much. It's actually like very, it gives you a lot of room to kind of like feel what she's feeling rather than them just tell you, which
Yeah.
I think is great as well. So um I haven't finished the story, so I can't really say if it sticks to landing. But I mean, so far, I mean, it's it feels very like real, which is nice. Um,
Yeah.
now the visuals.
Oh,
Do you have any
sorry.
questions on the story? Yeah.
Yeah. I was actually reading through some of the reviews for the game because I wanted to know what people said about the story. And I didn't know if they'd really be bringing it up, to be honest, because there's interesting mechanics in this. Like I figured it'd be more about that, but so many people are saying how great this story is. And this is just a quote from a recent review from about a week ago. About a week ago. But This says the story is incredible in all caps. This game holds the world record for time to tears for me. It does require a strong emotional state as the tones are dark and deep, being fragile, lonely, the feelings related to mourning a loved one's death. And I think you kind of um you mentioned, right, like they don't just kind of tell you how she's feeling, right? It's kind of
Hmm.
just like you're getting to like experience it like through her. So this is, I usually with these kind of games, I'm not like really looking into the story too much, but like just so many people were kind of expanding on the story in their reviews and how well done it was and how just like heavy it was too.
Hmm.
Which is honestly in like Souls like games, the story is like a mess, like it's all over the place. So it's cool that this is a little bit more streamlined and like you can actually get a lot out of it. So I just wanted to mention that like other people also seem to be having the same thoughts as you that like this is a well crafted story.
Yeah, yeah, and they kind of like nail like the world building here. This kind of like almost like Scandinavian, like almost like Yuletide. Like right, maybe I'm just thinking that right now because it's the holiday season, but like it kind of feels like Krampus could show up at any point. Like it has that vibe to it, which is cool. And also something really neat about it, and this is something that TCGs do really well, is that some of the cards that you'll unlock, you'll be like, this. It feels like a story beat,
Mm,
right? Like it's kind of showing part of the story here, and I think that's such a great tactic because it just like allows you to expand the universe through just making cool looking cards. So
Yeah.
really neat. Now, moving on to the visuals, I think this is probably the thing that drew me into this game initially. I mean, this is pixel art at its finest. I mean, this is just such a good looking game. Beautiful environments, great uh, character development, or not development, character design, and it just, the whole time you're playing, you're like, this looks so good, but it's still like, it's not too much. It's pretty clear. Like, even the cards that have these interesting mechanics, you're like, I understand what this does, and it gives you more than enough information just by hovering on it. And I think that, the onboarding probably could be a little bit more hand holdy, but I think it's
Hmm.
probably good that it isn't, because it allows you to explore this stuff, and there's a lot to explore. And just like looking at this game, I think anybody who's into like an indie game or pixel art would be like, wow, this looks so cool. What is this game about?
Yeah.
And, I think that they're really firing on all cylinders here, because it is just such a pleasant game to look at. And yeah, I've enjoyed the hell out of it. The cards look great. The different environments look awesome, because, like, I got to a point where I can hop into some other worlds, and then I also like looked at some of the later worlds just so I knew for the review. I was like, oh, it only gets better. Just like, this first area is like really cool, but then it just gets even better. So really
Yeah.
love the way this looks.
Yeah, same here. Honestly, what I think about with a lot of games is I always think of kind of what we do at PAX, and like the way I kind of get interested in games while at PAX. At least like the first initial impression, it's always based on like the art. At least most of
Mm-hmm.
the time, where like I'm walking, I'm like, that looks cool. I like make a mental note, like I'm gonna go check that game out, because there's like a lot of booths, and you gotta filter it somehow. So this is a game where like if I saw this at PAX, I would definitely like stop and like watch the gameplay and be like, what is this? Like it just interests me just from the art style, and I think what it is that's like so captivating for me is it's kind of like the whole environment is like it's so detailed but minimal at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like monochrome, but then there's like your character stands out because of the color. Like even the cards themselves, right? Like they're typically kind of like monochrome, except there's like one element that's like a burst of color on there. Like I saw some card before that had like these blood daggers on it that are just these super bright red. Like I think they do such a great job with color here, where I feel like if this game, like I guess that's like a river right there that we're watching on the
Mm-hmm.
screen. If that was like blue, like how if they tried to make it look more like a river, I feel like it would like take away from, if they tried to do that with like every element, like the trees had green, like really bright green leaves, it would kind of just take away from how cool this game looks. So I think they do such a great job with like balancing the color, and then also something that I just think is not necessarily something they had to do, but it makes a big difference is that, I was mentioning before, like you're kind of walking around, and then like as you approach an encounter, you start to see the grid like show up a little bit. So if you want to, it's kind of like the way a Souls game works, where like if you see an enemy coming up and you're
Mm-hmm.
like, all right, I'm not ready for that yet, I want to
Yeah.
turn around and I'm going to go to like this other one. I think that's great because I know I compared it to Pokemon before, but like that doesn't happen in Pokemon. You're just like thrown into a battle, right? Like
Yeah.
immediately you're like, oh god, like whether you're ready for it or not. So I think that was a great like design choice of being like, we're gonna like gradually kind of start to show you the grid as you get close to an encounter, and if you're not ready for it, you just turn around and you go do something else. So yeah, those are like two big things with the art that I think are so well done. But this is a game that um uh like the art is also what kind of drew me in first, when you first showed it to me. And I'll be honest, like I'm gonna download the demo and I'm gonna try it. Apparently, it works great on the deck as well. I don't know if on the Steam Deck. It works great on the Steam Deck.
It
Okay,
looks, yeah.
in the garage too. But it's I want to try it out, and I mean everything you're saying has me kind of wanting to try it even more. So yeah, but they killed it with the art with this game for sure. I mean, I haven't even seen those other worlds that you're talking about. I can only imagine how awesome they look. So I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, yeah, it's just like such a well crafted game, and and it continues even into the sound and the music because
Yeah.
it just it nails this like kind of foreboding kind of sounds, especially in the music, and then just like there are like little dopamine hits too, like from picking up the stuff in here, and then just kind of getting your unlocks, and like even when you go to the save point and you kind of refresh, you kind of turn this like spirit like
Yeah.
version of yourself. It just sounds cool. Sound design's great. I think that this game is just doing so much so much so well that you could see the love in here, and it really continues in all the aesthetics. And yeah, can we play some? I don't know if we ever figured that out.
I don't know if we did. I'm gonna play a little bit right now. It shows in OBS that it's showing up. I have no idea if the listeners can hear it, but it
I have
sound.
no
This is
idea
the
either.
first time I'm hearing it. It sounds pretty cool. It's oh those sounds of the cards shuffling and clicking and things. Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's a good dopamine hit right there for sure. So for those that didn't hear it, it sounds like ooh. Oh. There you
But
go.
yeah, I mean, going down to performance, it performed great. I played it on PC, but they say it's really good on the Steam Deck as well, so I'll be checking that out. But yeah, that brings me down to my rating. I think
Yeah.
it's our ratings are as follows. Certified Fresh Juice are the best games in the world, Balatro, and anything like it. Probably Black Jacket next year, as
Yeah.
as we've got a lot of our buddies playing that game now. The demo, a Steel. These are really good games. Not quite the apex, but very good. We recommend on sale. Perhaps if you want to wait till they go on like a winter sale, and maybe they have some things they need to work on, and that a future patch might fix it. And then Manager Special, really niche games that we didn't really love, but maybe somebody out there likes it, or if you just want to pick up a free to play game. And then Spoiled Milk, games that we don't recommend for anybody. There aren't a lot of those that we review, but they pop up every once in a while.
Yeah.
My review for Death Howl is, I think, it pretty obvious as certified fresh juice. This is such a fresh take on a couple genres here. It's beautiful, it's addicting, you get sucked into the world, you get sucked into the grind. You really just want to unlock everything. It's such an impressive game, and a nice one to kind of cap out the year here for Fresh Juice. And I'm really loving the hell out of it, and I'll be continuing to play. Hopefully, I beat it by the end of the year.
Yeah.
With some time off coming up here, but yeah, gotta give a shout out to our buddy Bags, who I think we've converted into a full deck builder gamer, because got him on the Balatro train. He just texted us the other day. I picked up Slay the Spire. It's sick.
Yeah.
This might be one for you too, Bags. So, but yeah, fun game, fun game.
Yeah.
Also, I should mention it is 17.99 on sale right now. So it's 19.99 typically. The offer ends very soon, actually. So it's too
Before
late.
the
It will be
episode's out.
19.99. Yeah,
Yeah.
but there are some bundles that it's involved with, especially Inscription, if anybody has that game already as
Yeah.
well. So next week we have the Juicies, and we have some listener questions. Then we'll say goodbye after the Rec Room, of course. First listener question. These come from the Juicehead Discord. Comes from K Moore, who asks, "What is your most memorable Christmas?"
Um, that one's pretty easy. When I was younger, I got my first dog. Lucky. Shout out to Lucky. But that was like a little Christmas gift. I was sleeping. My parents, like, she's a little black lab. She was like, nibbling on my face, and I had a hamster at the time, and I thought it was a hamster. So I woke up and I was like, why is my hamster in my bed? Uh,
Hmm.
and it was a dog. So that's probably the most memorable one. If it's gaming related, there was a year like when I got my Xbox 360. That was pretty awesome. I was like pretty stoked about that. I was like, I'm gonna play King Kong. Like I had no idea. I was like, it was my first time into like uh online gaming and such. But yeah, probably my first dog is probably my most memorable Christmas. What about you, Tom?
I don't know. Yeah, they've had good ones, I've had bad ones, but um, I don't know. Actually, this is a tough question. My most memorable will be this year's.
There you
Actually,
go.
you
Boom.
know, because I just be thinking about the juicies and
Yeah.
being really grateful.
This is pretty suspicious. It almost maybe it's because you deliver gifts every year in a sleigh. Is that why you don't have? You're just is it
You
maybe
know,
you
if I'm
know?
working, I'm working.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
working. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It sounds like a Santa type of answer.
Yeah, I don't know. Thanks for the question, K Moore. Next comes from Capolo, who asked, "Have you ever gotten a video game under the tree? If so, which one was your favorite?"
Have I gotten I definitely have gotten games as gifts. I'm trying to think if there was a really one that like, because the thing is that like a lot of the games I was really into, they don't come out around like Christmas time, like not even close. Maybe like Gears
Mm,
of War came out in like November, but I like, I get it when it came out or around when it came out. So I'm trying to think. There was one where I was like, whoa, it's probably like I don't know, maybe it was like Skyward Sword, maybe I got for Christmas or something like that, which is cool. I feel like it's probably like a Zelda game that I got where I was like,
mm,
yeah, that's awesome. Maybe even I got a Wii one year for Christmas, so Wii Sports. I mean, that was awesome. Get that for Christmas. Probably that, I guess I choose.
mm.
Wii Sports is still a lot of fun. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'll go with that. What about you?
I don't really remember what. So like in my like prime like gift giving like gift receiving like childhood years, like from Santa, I would be up because I lived in Florida. I'd be up here visiting for Christmas, so I wouldn't even like open my Santa gifts until like January.
Hmm.
So like because I just wasn't home, so like I I feel like I just forget a lot of it, or I associate it with January or in my
Yeah.
birthday. So Wii Sports is probably a good one. Super Mario Sunshine definitely I got with my GameCube.
Yeah.
So I definitely remember playing that. So gotta
Maybe the
give.
DS too. I got a DS, I think, for Christmas one
Oh,
year.
Picto Chat.
Yeah,
Picto
Picto
Chat is what
Chat.
I.
Dicto
Not
Chat.
even a
That's what it
game.
is. Yeah. Uh yeah, that was fun. Yeah, that's definitely up there.
Yeah. Our boy Pat asks, you order mozzarella sticks out and about. You have a few, and then you grab the next one. You bite into it, and it's a fish stick. What is your reaction?
Uh I don't like it. I'm not happy. Probably that. I'm not like a seafood fish guy. I don't even know if you consider fish sticks seafood. It's something. But I love mozzarella sticks. I don't really have them a lot anymore, but I'm always so tempted to be like, I'll deal with the pain because I love them so much. So I feel like I'd be pretty upset. And just to talk about this a little bit more, there was a time, not it wasn't a fish stick, but I was like um going to my wife's like family parties for like one of the first times, and they got like catered Italian food, and they had like potato croquettes. And so
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were giant mozzarella sticks. I was like, whoa, like, and I put it on my plate. I didn't even like, there was no sign or anything. And when I bit into it, even though I like potato and everything, I was so disappointed. I was like, something's wrong with this. Maria's like, why? I was like, it's not a mozzarella stick. She's like, it's potato. So I've had that experience of thinking something was a mozzarella stick, like a dream mozzarella stick, and it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that would be my reaction. Tom, I feel like you're probably on the other side of this.
Well, I love. fish and like, you know what, fish sticks, right? I don't really have fish sticks ever anymore, but like as a kid, I loved them. Listen, am I going to be disappointed that it's a fish stick or that it's not a mozzarella stick? Probably. But once I'm like, you know what, I kind of like fish sticks too. I'll be like, that was a nice surprise in the end. Like the first bite, I'm like, what? This is like what's wrong with this mozzarella? And then you realize the fish stick, and you're like, hey, you know what? Worse things could have happened.
Yeah.
So I like, this got me thinking I should get some fish sticks sometime soon. um, Especially now, like back back in the day, fish sticks were good, but like we didn't have like air fryers.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's a level up,
Game
that
changer.
especially for anything like that is good. But thanks for the question, Pat. Next one comes from Bags. Any games or game series that don't have holiday vibes but still remind you of the holidays?
Oh, let's see. I mean, I guess Wii Sports.
Mm-hmm.
That reminds me of the holidays. Yeah, like all the Picto chat and everything. Honestly, like Gears of War does because I would I'd be off from school and I'd just be playing like a lot of it with friends. And probably like Call of Duty Zombies, like games I play with friends. Like during my when I you'd have breaks in school, things like that. Probably remind
Mm-hmm.
me of the holidays that don't have holiday vibes. I don't even think I play a lot of games that do have holiday vibes, to be honest. But what about you, Tom?
I mean, yeah, Capolo's question started getting me thinking about it, but like Super Mario Sunshine for
Hmm.
sure. I remember playing that around the holidays, and I remember playing it around the holidays. Metroid Prime Hunters or Metroid Hunters. It was a DS game that had online. It was like a really good FPS game on the DS. Like it was like surprising how good it was. And I remember playing that a lot around the holidays. Um, yeah, and then maybe like Mario Party, like some
Hmm.
form of Mario Party, just like at like a family party. And Melee would always come up during the holidays. I can remember in our cousin Jake's house playing Melee up in his room, years ago
Yeah.
around the holidays. So, um, yeah, thanks for the question, Bags. And finally, R Carp asks, favorite Christmas Carol ghost and what is the best version?
Honestly, I have no idea. Oh, well, I don't know about the best version. The one that's like a Grim Reaper.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? Christmas to
Future.
come or whatever. Yeah, Christmas
Yeah.
future. That I guess that's probably my favorite one. I don't know what version though. I'm not like I don't I don't have a lot of knowledge when it comes to
A
like
Christmas Carol.
yeah, like I've seen it or whatever, and I'm just it's been a minute since I've really seen it, but I do I do like it, but it's just been a minute. So what about you? You got a favorite one?
Well, I always like how jolly Christmas present is. Like, come know me better, man. Blah 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 blah. But the best version of Christmas Carol, I think, is easy. It's the Muppets Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
Michael Caine treating it like it. I like. I saw something recently, like a meme that was like Michael Caine in a Muppets Christmas Carol treated all the Muppets like they were real actors. Like he like committed to it so well, and that's why the movie works so much. And then the Muppets Treasure Island, Tim Curry is the only human, and they say that, and that one works because Tim Curry thinks he's a Muppet in that movie. But yeah, gotta give a shout out to the Muppets. They're still good,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. They're still good. Yeah.
but that's gonna bring us to the rec room where we recommend something that perhaps isn't an indie game. I'll start. I'm recommending an app that's not out, but you can like submit to get like a beta test or whatever, or like just like a key.
Hmm.
It's called Rodeo. It just kind of popped up on my TikTok feed. It is created by the guy who created Hinge. This is not a dating app though. It's called Rodeo. Basically, anytime you see something, you can share it to your app, to the
Yeah.
Rodeo app, and it will like kind of like organize it into there. Like, if you can like create different categories and whatever. Like I have one that's like games to play, recipes to make, and then you just send it to the Rodeo app and say put it in there. So like when I like, because like sometimes you just see stuff and you're like, I don't have time to like remember to do this. I'll like it
Yeah.
or whatever. But if I send it to the app, like I'm like, oh, I need a recipe to make. Let me see what is going on here. Oh, I remember seeing some games. Let me go boom in here. You can even like just take a screenshot and send it to it, and it will like, kind of analyze the picture and like generate like, hey, this is this.
Yeah.
You can do like events. You can be like, oh, I want to go to this concert, but I don't want to buy tickets yet. So I want to watch, you know, like this is not an ad, by the way, for this app, but I just think it's really cool. It actually,
Yeah.
I got it because I was like, maybe I'd use it. And then I started using it a lot more. So,
Yeah.
um, it helps me organize stuff because I feel like I'm just seeing stuff all the time
Yeah.
that I'm like, I want to do that, or I want to make that, or I want to play that, and then I forget. So I feel like it's a pretty easy thing. It might not be on Android, but it is on iOS for now. But
Yeah.
Rodeo.
Yeah, I'll have to look into it. I saw this the Hinge guy talking about this, I think recently
Yeah.
on like TikTok or something. I've seen a few apps that do this, but his seem, at least from like the way he was describing it, seems like it does the most thing, like the screenshot thing and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Um yeah, I'll have to check it out. Also, I thought it would have, I started like laughing because like it made by Hinge and Rodeo is like if you want to find like cowboys or cowgirls,
Yeah.
they're all on there,
They're all
So
on
there
there.
you go. People in Texas love it.
Yeah.
But I'm recommending actually a play test that's going on right now on Steam for an indie game called Will Follow the Light. So I actually played through this whole play test. It's like I think it's like a 30 to 40-minute demo. And if you're familiar with Firewatch, it's kind of in the same vein of that, of like this is a single player first person kind of adventure puzzle sort of game, where you play as a lighthouse keeper named Will. And you're kind of, things are going on. You got to take care of the lighthouse. And then you find out that, like, in your hometown, I think something happens with your son. You're trying to find your son. So, and then you have to leave from the lighthouse. You're like taking a boat, you're dog sledding, and you're kind of going through like the northern wilderness in order to get back to your son and or to find your son. But I don't know, there's always been something intriguing to me about like the lighthouse kind of life, right? And this is kind of I think a little heavier game too in terms of like what kind of unfolds. They don't really, it doesn't get super into the story in the playtest, but like from what I know about the story, just reading about it, it seems like it gets kind of like heavier. But I'll say like I enjoyed Firewatch, and this is kind of a similar game of like you almost kind of feel like isolated and you're just kind of unraveling a mystery, and it's like pretty slow pace. You don't have to like fight anything that I played at least. So yeah, I recommend checking out the playtest if you, especially if you like Firewatch, which is an awesome game. I love Firewatch. I'd recommend checking out this Will Follow the Light playtest where you play as a lighthouse keeper named Will. That's why it's called Will. And yeah, it's pretty cool. So if you're into that sort of stuff, also it's just visually stunning as well in the game.
Mm-hmm.
They do a really good job of that. So check it out if you're looking for something new to play and you got like 30 to 40 minutes to kill. The playtest is a good one.
Sweet, sweet,
Yeah,
sweet, sweet. Looks neat. Kind of like my ideal life.
yeah. There you go. It's your
Arctic
life sim.
conditions. Um, alone
Looking for your son.
in looking for my son in the middle of nowhere. But thank you for tuning in, everybody. Hopefully, we'll have a happy holiday. And if you don't celebrate, that's okay. And if it's a tough time of year, feel free to reach out to any of us. We get it. And you can find me on mostly Blue Sky at Fresh Buds Pod. I have another podcast called Fresh and Buds, where I talk about a game called Flesh and Blood. It's pretty cool. I've mentioned it on this show before, but check it out over there. And you can find us on all socials at Fresh Juice Pod. Matthew, where can people find you?
Find me at Matty Gorm, Gorm, on all socials. Other than Instagram, there's a YT at the end, Matty Gorm YT. And Instagram has been doing pretty well lately. So if you're an IGer, go check it out. But I also I posted my first video on Snapchat today.
I saw that.
I didn't even know that was a thing. Someone mentioned it in Discord. I was like, I'll try it. We'll see. So follow me on Snapchat, Matty Gorm. But anyway, that's it. That's where you can find me. Another good app. Happy holidays, everybody. Have a safe, happy holiday. Tommy, get rid of those mustaches.
Stay juicy.